Greetings everybody, welcome back again in another video. In this tutorial, I will give you 6 tips on how to improve your English. This might sound like a cliche or a redundant topic, but in fact it is very important. Now, why do we talk about English pronunciation particularly? English pronunciation is such an important topic in English field of study and learning that it gets a lot of teachers' attention and focus on. Why is it important? There are actually so many reasons and countless of justifications for why English pronunciation is such an important element in learning English and producing good quality English. English is a kind of language that is based on minimal pairs, and minimal pairs are kind of words that share the same DNA, but they are different in one sound, and this sound difference will make a big and huge effect on the meaning of the word. For example, if we say bought and pot, they're different. This is what we call in English minimal pairs. Now, do we need to study comprehensively all the minimal pairs in English? No. The only tip that I have off the top of my head is that you have to cover the basics of English pronunciation in order to be able to produce good quality of language. Now, how do we produce good quality of English pronunciation? First, English speakers have a factory in their mind to produce language. And in order to produce good quality language, you have to listen to good quality of materials. Now, that brings us to tip number 1, listen. Now, listening is really important when it comes to mastering English pronunciation and being very effective English speaker. It makes a huge difference when you say to people, I want to park here and I want to bark here. Now, most of us know that P is not a sound that is common in Arabic. And that's why we always attribute the problem of mastering language to basic problem with English pronunciation. So try to pay attention to how people use intonation when they speak. That is tip number 1. Pay attention to how people speak. You can also add something we call and practice something we call shadowing. So shadowing means listening to a short sentence or phrase and then repeating it afterwards, trying to imitate the sound, the intonation, and word stress, and noticing how your mouth and tongue move and orchestrate the production of sound in English. And also trying to imitate the sound will make you become so much better English speaker. Now, that brings us to tip number 2. Try to record yourself. Not try, but record yourself. Record yourself, and that gives you the power and self-esteem and confidence to listen to yourself, edit your voice, add some sort of emphasis to certain words, and trying to listen to yourself. That is going to give you critical self-reflection about how you say words in English and how you should say them better if you're not saying them in a better or semi-native like. So that's where the essential element of mastering pronunciation comes from. You have to carefully listen to what you record yourself. We have something in English we call the International Phonetic Alphabet, but it's not actually a real alphabet. They're just codes to refer to how we say sounds in English, particularly. Specifically in English. So sounds like, think about the letter O-U-G-H. these letters in the word though and through and tough and ought, it would be impossible to guess how to say those words without some help by listening to how people say them, how people stress parts of these words, and how people use their mouth intonation to master and carefully say them when they speak. I would say tip number 3, use a dictionary, but actually words in dictionary, the words in dictionaries are not stressed the same way we stressed words in real life. For example, can, you see how it is transcribed here? Do you see how it shows the wave in the recording? Can. But if I want to say it as a part of a sentence, I can go, 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 not I can go. No, that's not meaningful, and that is not a sign of a native speaker. But native speakers usually truncate the auxiliary and modal verbs in English just to emphasize the more meaningful part of a sentence, because that is the essential element of communication. Do some exercise in English, because different languages have different sounds and our mouths adapt to those sounds. But you have to adapt your mouth to this sort of sounds. Some sounds are physically very difficult for us to make, such as the th in the word clothes or clothes. There are 2 variations of this word, as they don't exist in our native language. We don't have 3 consonant clusters in Arabic. So just like when you're learning a new sport or dance move, it is very important that you train your mouth to know how to form new sounds. The more you practice, the easier it gets. For example, lots of Arab speakers have problems with the difference between P and B. We make the B sound by joining our lips together and then letting it go. But the P sound is very similar to the way we kind of stress and press amount of air before we plosively release it. So the sounds of English are a little bit different from the sounds of Arabic. And then the last tip that I have for you is to get to know your minimal pairs. And these are the minimal pairs that I talked about here, which I will stress more using the following chart. So what do we mean by minimal pairs? As I said earlier, minimal pairs are words that are similar, but they're only different in one sound. For example, and by the way, this can be considered as a practice for you to master minimal pairs and to be able to produce them and articulate them and say them naturally, but repeatedly. I would emphasize the word repeatedly, because you have to say them again and again and again and again and again and again and again to a point of mastering them. But just referring back to one point, we usually have difficulty as Arab speakers of English with the sound of pa. So one way we can practice and make it better is either to hold a paper in front of you like 6 or 7 inches and try to practice saying, Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled pepper. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled pepper. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled pepper. Additionally, we have a list of very common minimal pairs, around 30 minimal pairs in English, like sheep and ship, tin and ten, bat and bat, bat and bait, bat and bad, cat and cut, cat and cart, cart and cut, cut and curt, look and loop, cart and cot, cot and cot, cot and coat, cot and coat, coat and cot, coat and coot, darling and dialing, air and a, tail and toil, tail and tell, tail and tile, tile and toil, hour and are, rot and lot, pull and bull, heart and art, worse and verse, worse and worth, ass, as and ash. So these are some of the minimal pairs that we have in English, and we have other sounds, consonants specifically, but we are not going to stress them here in this lesson because the lesson is going to be a little bit long. So stay tuned, follow us if you find this lesson is useful to you to help you produce better and good quality of English. Well, I don't like the word good because it doesn't mean anything. Better English pronunciation. Please stay tuned, follow us, and add a comment section or share in the comment section or share the video telling people about it. Thank you so much. مدرب اللغة وليد خالد.